Monday mental health tip. Monday mental health tip. I'm singing and yelling the word tip at the end of that. So everyone loves that. I don't know. That's what the surveys show. The phone lines are lighting up with people who love that, I think. I don't have time to answer them now. Plus, it's probably not about the program because no one knows when I'm recording. So, welcome back to The Broken Brain. I'm Dwight, and this is our Monday mental health tip to share for today. I wanted to share a couple of things about how do we make decisions, particularly decisions of a predictive diagnostic nature about what is going on in our lives. That's the teaser. Let me quick mention before we get into that, this month's charity of note. As we do every month, we highlight a charity and let everyone know about it and the good work that they're doing so that you can support or get involved. And if you happen to be a Patreon supporter, or if you join, whenever you do join, the charity that was highlighted in the month you join will receive 50% of your donations for as long as you are one, as long as you are a patron. If you are able to go to patreon.com/brokenbrain and support the show, that's great. If you'd just like to subscribe as a free subscriber, you will get a couple of little things going on there as well, such as you'll be able to view the video of each of the interviews that we do, that we have video captured. I always make those available on the Patreon, and they are going out to any Patreon subscribers, paid or otherwise. So I guess technically if you're free, 50% of your donation will also go, because 50% of zero is zero. But if you'd like to be involved in that and support the show, then do that, please. And thank you. And this month, our highlighted charity is Churla, CHRLA. Go to churla.org to learn more about the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. This is always a very important cause. I'd say currently a very important cause that you'll see. We're having a lot of issues around rights and such for immigrants in the United States in particular. If you watch the news, if you don't watch the news, I'm sure you've heard about it. So Churla does a lot of work to help support immigrants. You can go there to learn about, to donate, to share information, and get involved with that. I find that when we know about these kind of organizations, if you go and you can participate, every little bit helps. If you can just, I would say, if you could just give $1, just pretend that there's a million people out there who are also wondering if that is enough to give. And you want to be part of that. And what is the percentage that will give the $1? And if you can't, please share. It doesn't cost us anything to share. So, all right. Now, here's our little mental health tip. I want to talk about, what do we ascribe judgment to when we are trying to judge what's going on kind of with our lives, or what things we are worried about. What information do we gather that we think will answer those questions? And this is where I call it diagnostic. Am I trying to diagnose a situation? For example, do I walk into work and I see my boss glance at their watch, or do they look at me in a way that I interpret as, am I late or something? Are they grumpy with me? What's going on? And maybe I look at my watch. And by the way, in this scenario, we're all wearing watches. So maybe you actually look at your smartphone or whatever. And so you see that it's like, well, I am 3 minutes late, but why are they upset with me for being 3 minutes late? Oh my gosh, where do they come off getting mad at me? You know what? It was just because I had to park so far and walk, and they don't want me to park right next to the building. Anyway, so now you can see I'm really down a rabbit hole. At that point, I have attributed some type of meaning to my boss's facial expression. I have now started to make decisions of my own reactions that are going to be emotionally reactive, that is, based off of that idea that I got that may or may not be wrong. That's a pretty obvious example, but how many times throughout our day do we see things or interpret things or think things that we think means that someone hates us, or that bad things are going to happen, or whatever it is? And here's the tricky thing. We're not always wrong, but we also are not always focused on something that is going to end up being useful. What if that look did mean they were mad at me? Well, I don't know why. I don't know what it means. And they'll either share it with me or they never will. And if it's the type of relationship where that can exist, like in a coworker relationship, and I never find out why I got that look, but I don't get in trouble, that's actually okay. That's all right. Or if it's a more deeper or intimate type of friendship or relationship, and they, we may have to talk it out. We may have to ask some questions, but I do not have any information yet, is the idea. And if I'm correct in what I assume, and it's not useful, then may overly focus on it. If it's incorrect, Still not useful, and I'm going to overly focus on that. So, drawing conclusions from things that are non-conclusive. Some psychologists study what they call attribution, which is the psychological dynamic of deciding why things happen. And to put it in maybe oversimplified terms, it's almost like there is a little question going on the back of our brain all the time that is saying, why did that happen? Or why did I do that? Or why did someone else do that? Or why did I, whatever. Maybe theoretically, right? It's like, why did I walk in this room? Maybe I, don't remember until I walk out of it. Then I desperately remember and need to go back into it. Or why am I sitting in this chair? Now, many times the answer is so simple, this is not even a conscious process. Why am I sitting in this chair? I always sit in this chair. This is where I sit. There, that's a reason. Boom. That process, if you think of it like that process is going on all the time, then what do we attribute something to? Now, we usually notice it when something jars us out of this sort of pre-programmed, less conscious focus. In other words, the boss, or someone does a thing, or I don't hear back from someone right away, or my car made a noise, or whatever it is. So when that happens and it's jarring and we go, why did that happen? Then our brain is going to try to come up with something. And it's important to think of it this way. The answer is not as likely to be correct as it is likely to satisfy the question. What I mean by that is our brain doesn't know what's happening. We can't read minds. We can't tell the future. And sometimes we are aware on some level that some big, huge, bad piece of news is not the most likely outcome. However, when we are finding something to attribute something to, something that is correct is never as powerful as something that feels emotionally relevant. And sometimes that relevance comes from fear. Once again, could be correct, could be not, but my anxiety is going to fill up the silence a large portion of the time. And so then we are making decisions and reactions based off of information that is not based on anything. So once again, don't get hung up on whether or not it's correct. If it's correct, you really need to verify it some other way. So there's a couple of ways to do that. One is to institute sort of a 24-hour rule if in the situations where this is possible. So in other words, if I see something and it means something, and there's no way for me to investigate it or do anything, and it wouldn't be appropriate for me to confront it or anything, I need to wait a day or so and try not to let it rule my thoughts until I can make a little more decision. Getting more information and reminding myself that I don't have the information is another technique for this. To say, I don't know yet what my boss thought, and so I got to wait and see if they say something. It might not be healthiest to go and talk to them. Are we very, very close to where I feel like we can do that? Different situation. But I'd say most of the time, I'm going to wait a minute, see what happens. Do I gather more information? And sometimes more information comes just from waiting. Then there's the other side of more information, which is, can I ask? Is it the kind of situation where my car made a noise and I could go get it checked? Or I could ask somebody I know who really knows cars? Or I could look it up online? That's one of the questions that is sometimes actually good for areas like Google or Reddit or whatever, sometimes. But can I do anything that is a healthy thing to help gather a little more information? This is very tricky when it involves other people, because sometimes we can, if we're having an anxious pattern, we can pepper someone with questions over and over again, and they might not love that, but that becomes an issue for communication. Always usually better to get more information if we can. So anyway, those are a couple of things. So think about that. Gather information where we can. Pause for more information before making decisions, and if ever possible, try to reframe our thoughts to say, I need to try not to think about this till tomorrow and see how I feel then. So those are a couple of things. There's obviously lots more that we can do to try to live in the present, try to live in the moment, try not to over-interpret. So that's an interesting little thought for your Monday. So at least I think it's interesting. Hope you agree. Call today and let me know if you agree. Write your letters in to The Broken Brain. Your Broken Brain is a podcast here to help and to provide information. I wanted to get one more little plug for charities. Like I said, we're following up with the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, shirla.org. And I'm always open to hear about whatever charities that you know of, especially if they are local to your area and they might not be well known. Please reach out. You can go to dwighthurst.com and fill out the contact form. You can email me at dwighthurst@gmail.com, or just, release a carrier pigeon, whatever it is that you prefer to communicate by. All right. Thanks, everybody. There'll be a new episode out tomorrow. Bye.